So welcome everybody to this session on genetics, genomics and biomedical science. So you're welcome to Open Day. My name is Gavin Collins. I'm the Vice Dean for Student Recruitment at the College of Science and Engineering. So I'm joined today by some colleagues who teach and lead on the genetics and genomics degree and the biomedical science degree at NUI Galway, and also by some students on those courses as well. So what we'll do in this session is have some slides initially from my colleagues, and we'll open it up to a discussion, including our students, to hear the student voice at the same time. So to start off, I'll invite Helen Dodson. So Helen's here with us, and Helen is the Program Director of the BSc in Biomedical Science. So over to you, Helen, then for a few minutes.
Great. Thank you very much, Gavin. So I'm going to give you some information about the Biomedical Science degree. The code for this, the CEO code is GY303. So first of all, just to give you a little bit of information about the requirements. So it's important that you are studying a laboratory science subject at Leaving Cert. So for example, chemistry, physics, biology, the physics with chemistry, or agricultural science. And I've also just indicated there for you the CEO points for this program over the last 3 years. I just want to now tell you what biomedical science is. So I think that we are living in an age where biomedical scientists are with us all the time. So this current coronavirus pandemic has meant that biomedical scientists are now on the radio, on the television, on our news feeds. These are the scientists who are understanding about the structure of this virus, how it interacts with our cells, get into our cells, what it does to our bodies, how our immune system reacts. And they're also the scientists who are involved in the development of the diagnostic tools and the assays so that we can trace infections. As well as that, these are the scientists who are now involved in the very, very rapid development of the vaccines that are going to play the real key in hopefully us getting back to some sort of normality. And finally, there are also the scientists who are now understanding about how this virus changes and mutates, and these new variants that we'll always be trying to stay ahead of. So I think that this is a really, really exciting time for you to be thinking about studying this subject. So if this is something that you think that you're interested in, then a question you might ask is, what will I study? So as you come into first year of the program, then you'll have a grounding in a good scientific training by studying biology, chemistry and physics, and we'll also introduce you to what biomedical science is. And then in second year, you'll have an opportunity to begin to understand more about the human body, and you can opt to think about how the body functions in terms of studying physiology, the structure of the body in terms of anatomy, or how drugs work, pharmacology. Or also you might be very interested in the cellular and the subcellular details, the chemical reactions, the biochemistry going on inside our cells. Also, you will be thinking about what skills you would gain during this program. So you will have an opportunity to get into the laboratories and to learn technical skills. So how to make solutions, how to understand things about the proteins and the DNA inside your cells. You will be able to generate data and analyze that data. So graph it and understand the numbers. And then very importantly, present it. So write lab reports, give presentations, talk to your lecturers, your demonstrators to describe what you've understood. Sometimes you will work on your own, but very often we will work in small teams. And this is really important because this is what you will all do in your day-to-day lives, in your work and in other aspects. So the research skills, whether that be in the laboratory or the library, by reading papers, looking at data sets, are all very important. And we aim to develop students' critical thinking so that when you are now seeing scientific discovery and people talking about science, you can be able to critique that, and in turn you will be able to perhaps forge a research career of your own. So why, if you're interested in biomedical science, would you consider studying here with us at NUI Galway? Well, the group size is relatively small. We're trying to keep that to around about 45 students a year. And these students tend to have really excellent academic achievements. So it's an exciting, I guess, stimulating environment for our students. The teaching, we hope, is exciting and research-led. And you'll have the opportunity to interact with really excellent lecturers, researchers, scientists who are carrying out their own research in state-of-the-art facilities. And at the bottom of this slide, I've shown a couple of images of the Biosciences building where many of the researchers in biochemistry are working and lots of Science Foundation Ireland funded researchers. And the Human Biology building where the disciplines of anatomy, physiology and pharmacology come together. It's both a research and a teaching building in the middle of campus. So the career opportunities that might lead on from this are that many of our graduates will move into working in the biomedical biotechnology industry. Could you just move the slide on there, Gavin, for me? Thanks very much. So in the pharmaceutical, the diagnostic and the medical device industry. So I've shown here some of the multinational companies that students might go on to work in. Interestingly, in Galway, there are actually 9 of the world's top 10 medtech companies located here. And so there's really excellent employment prospects. So for example, Boston Scientific and Medtronic, which design, develop and build many of the very, very commonly used medical technologies. So as well as research or working in various industries, students might decide to further their studies, so to broaden their study or to become more focused. They might continue to MSc degrees or also onto further research PhD degree programs. And ultimately, students might become lecturers in universities or other third level institutions, or they might choose to take their skills to become teachers, for example, secondary school teachers, inspiring the next generation of scientists. So we have a heavy focus in the programme on working in small groups and offering students opportunities to work together with their peers. There's just a few examples on this slide here. So at the top, these are a series of images which were created by researchers at NUI Galway, and our students took these and they used their skills as scientific communicators to disseminate and explain what these images meant to a more general audience. And these images and the writing was displayed in the museum in Galway. In the bottom of the slide, I'm showing some students who were using, I guess, the resources that we have in the university in terms of the anatomy dissection. You can see a heart here, and they were working to develop an app that would support Leaving Cert students and their teachers in order to help them with one of the practicals, which is part of the Leaving Cert. And then also I'm showing a pre-pandemic image of some students working together in one of our study rooms in the library, and here they'll be working to produce an output from one of their projects. So just also to say that research is a really important aspect of this degree. Students might have the opportunity to work on summer research projects, and here a couple of the funding bodies that would support that. In the third year and mini projects, students would work very, very closely with members of academic staff to produce a small piece of research. And here actually is a poster day where they are with their academic mentor and have presented their work. The final year research project is also very, very important. This is where students will bring together all of their theoretical and technical knowledge and spend up to about 10 weeks working on a project, and then will present that in the format of a written thesis and also a presentation. And there are some study abroad opportunities, a limited number of exchanges. And here actually in the bottom of this slide, I've got an image of 2 of our students who were studying abroad in Hong Kong. There are also some opportunities in the US as well. So just to conclude now, thank you for your interest in the programme. As I said, this is the GY303. And hopefully via the open day, if you have any more questions, there's an opportunity for you to visit the help desk and we can follow up with you. So thank you very much.
Indeed, and thanks to yourself, Helen, and we'll come back to you again during the discussion. And as you mentioned, there will also be the Q&A session on Pobble on our website later on Open Day. So I'll move on from biomedical science then to the rest of this session, which is focused on genetics and genomics and a new Bachelor of Science degree, which we're running here in the university. And on to my colleague, Derek Morris. So over to you for a few minutes now, Derek.
Thanks, Gavin, and hello, everyone. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to tell you a bit about our new BSc in Genetics and Genomics degree. We're at the end of year one, and we're looking forward to bringing a new class on board next September. So just some details initially. So the CAO code is GY321. And the CO entry points last year in the first year of entry were 508. They may appear a little high. We expect them to be in around the same next year, but don't let that put you off. If you work hard, do well between now and the end of the year, hopefully we'll see you on campus next September and October. The entry requirements for the course include a laboratory science subject, such as those that are listed here. But what's also important is that you need to achieve a certain grade in Leaving Cert Mathematics. You need at least a H5 or an O1 in mathematics for entry to the course as well. So that's just important to note. And a lot of the detail that I'll present in the next number of slides is explained in further detail on the course website. So if you simply Google Genetics and Genomics NUIG, that will bring you to our course webpage, where we also have some short videos. Okay, so what is genetics and genomics to begin with? So firstly, genetics is the study of how DNA is a blueprint for functionality in every cell. And it's also the code that passes information from one generation to the next. And new sequencing technologies over the last 20 years can now generate vast quantities of data from DNA. And remember, our DNA code is made up of just 4 bases, A, C, G, and T. And all the DNA in each cell in the body is referred to as the human genome. But that human genome is 3 billion bases long. So therefore, if we want to analyze DNA, we need to use modern computational tools and some statistics to be able to do that. And that has given us the science of genomics. So genomics is the study of DNA-based data using computational tools to make important discoveries in a wide variety of areas, such as in medicine, in agriculture, studies related to evolution, the environment, and biotechnology. Okay. So what are the applications of genetics and genomics? So prime time for the last year, as we all know well, genetics and genomics has played a really important role in the fight against COVID-19. And regular or common genetics and genomics terms like PCR, polymerase chain reaction, have become part of regular conversation. So genetics and genomics is used in the testing of the virus, which tests for presence of RNA to indicate an individual is infected with the virus. We hear a lot about identifying different variants of the virus, and that's based on changes in the RNA code, in the genetic material of the virus, and that's determined by sequencing the virus, and that happens regularly. And also genetics and genomics plays an important role in the development of vaccines. So we hear, for example, the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is an RNA vaccine. And RNA is a genetic material that is being used to produce the vaccine. So genetics has played a key role in how we've battled as scientists against COVID-19. Genetics and genomics is also used more broadly in medicine, in, for example, the area of precision medicine, which is growing rapidly. And that's about understanding disease risk and using genetics to be able to predict an individual's response to medication, and using genomics to identify new treatments and cures for diseases for which we're just uncovering their biology. And we also see a lot of applications of genetics in the context of DNA ancestry. So we see a lot of ads on TV, radio, and other media for companies like 23andMe, where you can get your DNA sent off and find out about your ancestry. Okay, so what's unique about this degree? So I mentioned early on that you do need to have achieved a certain grade in mathematics to gain entry. And that's because as students, we'll look forward to training you to integrate knowledge and skills from biological sciences, where you'll understand and learn about genetics, with analytical skills from mathematics and data science so that you can do your genomics. So it's really, if you're a student out there and you like your biology, but you also like your maths, and maybe you're open to learning some computer code and understanding a bit about computer science and statistics, then hopefully this is the course for you. There's no pre-requirement to have any knowledge of how to do computer programming or experience of computer science, but as long as you're open to learning about it, hopefully the course will be of interest to you. And with the small class size, so our class size, for example, in this year is 26 students, it enables us to do a lot of small group work, and it's an opportunity for the students to get to know their lecturers from early on and settle in, as well as making friends within their class, which is really important. So here's an outline of some of the subjects that you'll cover in years 1 to 3. And again, more detail on this is in the website. But in year 1, you get your biology, chemistry, and mathematics, but we also introduce you to computer science and introduce you to genetics and genomics. And a lot of these themes then continue through years 2 and 3, where we focus a lot on application of genetics in medicine. We look at agribiosciences, microbiology, and evolution, as well as developing your data science skills in the area of statistics, programming, and bioinformatics. Okay, those themes continue through year 3, and then when we get to year 4, we'll have advanced modules in genomic data analysis, in molecular and cell biology. There's also the opportunity to study plant biology and biotechnology. And a major element of 4th year will be your research project, where you'll spend between 8 and 12 weeks undertaking a project in one of the research labs at NUI Galway, and you have an opportunity to apply your genetics and genomics training to real problems. And that is usually a very rewarding experience for students. Okay, so in addition then to the subjects that you'll encounter along the way, we also build in a lot of extra work into the modules to try and build up what we call your transferable skills and give you extra opportunities. So as scientists, it's really important to be able to communicate. There's no point being an excellent scientist if you can't tell the world about it. And from year 1 and through to year 4, we're going to work on your communication skills in terms of writing skills or presentation skills. We'll also work with you on teamwork skills and critical thinking skills. We'll encourage students to apply for summer research studentships, for example, those funded by the Health Research Board. There's also an opportunity for students to apply for study abroad options in, for example, Hong Kong and in the US. And finally, that research project that I mentioned in year 4 will really test your problem solving skills and put to the test all the different things you've learned over the 4 years that run up to the last year of your program. In terms then of employment and career opportunities, so obviously we just have 1 year of students in at this stage, so it's going to be a number of years before that first class graduate, but we expect that they'll be attractive to a wide range of different scientific industries. And the reason for that is that, you know, what we're producing are bioscience graduates with data science skills. So it's that combination that the modern biology student needs to have knowledge of biology and genetics, but also the analytical skills to be able to analyze the large amounts of data that are now generated for the purposes of biological studies. So for the various industries that are listed on the left-hand side, which include biotechnology, pharmaceutical and medtech companies, and some of those are identified on the right, we think that graduates knowing their biology and knowing their data science will be attractive to all of these companies. There'll also be the opportunity for students to study further, for example, at master's level or PhD level, or indeed pursue careers in, for example, graduate entry medicine or in education to become, for example, secondary school teachers. Okay, so that's my brief overview of the program. The contact details are there. My email is derek.morris@nuigalway.ie. Loads of information on the webpage for the course, or if you have any questions, of course, in general for the open day, please go to the help desk.
Great. So thanks very much for that, Derek. And I think perhaps what I might do to kick off this discussion then is maybe turn to you, Helen, if you don't mind. And I'm curious as to, you know, what are the different, say, pathways or streams inside the biomedical science degree? So what options do students have, say, after first year?
Okay, so in second year, students will really pick two main pathways. So they'll be identifying if they're interested, for example, in studying biochemistry and pharmacology in year 2. And then as they go to year 3, then they will continue with one of those core subjects and they'll take that to year 4. So students become specialized in one particular subject, but also throughout second year and third year, they're developing their communication skills, their understanding about how biomedical scientists work. They're doing projects, and there's also some electives. So students can select to study for example, bioinformatics. They can also choose to study developmental biology, and they can pick another elective from a different subject. So they might want to pick up a little bit of neuroanatomy, for example. So there are options there.
Sure, and I guess as we've just seen from Derek, bioinformatics is going to be an important skill, I guess, for crossover activities to genomics.
Yeah, so there is opportunities there. Also, we have biostatistics as part of the program as well. So again, emphasizing that importance in the data that biologists are generating and learning how to be able to appreciate and understand that data.
And would there be, say, some misconceptions sometimes about this program? Say, might some prospective students assume that the program is designed to follow a career as a biomedical scientist? Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, so I guess that term biomedical scientist is sometimes used for what we would describe as somebody who works in a diagnostic or a clinical type setting. So, for example, as somebody who's doing diagnostics associated with a hospital. So it is important to point out that this isn't a training course for that type of work. There are very, very good vocational training courses for students who might be interested in that. But really, this is about research and about students, I guess, learning to be researchers and to be critical thinkers, as opposed to perhaps that slightly more technical aspect of a diagnostic clinical laboratory setting. Hope that helps with that question.
Sure. And whilst you were speaking, I could see Katie nodding away. So I might just ask Katie, who has been a recent graduate from the biomedical science degree, how you maybe got into the degree in the first place, Katie. What attracted you to the course?
So I'd always been really interested in science. So I did chemistry and biology for my leaving cert. And I thought the biomedical science was a good option because it sort of gives you many different opportunities to explore different areas of science you might be interested in. So as Helen mentioned, there is the 4 sort of main streams that you can go into. You do get a taster of 2 of the main streams when you're in second year. And that's really informative of helping you make a decision about what you'd like to pursue further. There's also, I'd always been really interested in research, and that's sort of the area I went into after I finished my undergrad. But there is also the opportunity to go into industry, and I know many of my classmates took that avenue. But we are sort of trained, and we get like loads of different transferable skills that can be applicable to both a research career or a career in industry. And I think that was sort of what helped me make my decision at the beginning.
Sure. Tell me then, what was your major, or which stream did you focus on then?
So I majored or streamed in pharmacology. So I did physiology and pharmacology when I was in my second year, and then I continued on with pharmacology. Okay. It's great. It's a lovely small department, and all the staff and like academic staff are really, really helpful and like supportive. So it's really, really good place to go.
And you would say that having a small, more intimate department is a really good thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you get to know the staff, they get to know you, and in particular, just in the biomedical course in general, it's such small class numbers that you get to know everyone really, really quickly, and it's a really nice environment to be in.
And I guess you did a final year project then in your 4th year.
Yeah, so the final year project, so I did that in pharmacology, in neuropharmacology, and that was really brilliant. It was what made my decision to continue on with a career in research. And I know you learn so many skills, either if you choose to do, say, a wet lab project, so be in the lab as you traditionally think of it, or a dry lab, so more like data analysis. So many different skills that are really transferable to anything you choose to do after your undergraduate degree.
You're now working on your PhD, isn't that right?
Yeah, doing on in the department.
Good. So that's good to hear. Maybe I'll move to Derek next. So Derek, it's a new degree, the genetics and genomics degree. So how do you think it's going?
Reasonably well. It hasn't been the easiest year to roll out a new program, but I pay tributes to the students who've really kind of knuckled down and really worked hard through the year. I suppose we put a lot of effort, and we would have done had we been on campus. We put a lot of effort in helping the students get to know us and settle in. So I think each student had maybe 6 short online meetings in the first semester alone with either myself or my colleague Elaine Dunleavy, just to see how they're getting on, answer any questions that they have, etc. And fortunately, over the course of the semester, the feedback was positive. And similarly, in semester 2, we've had a number of calls, and the students have really settled in. I think come semester 2, and this happens, whether you do the course online or whether we do it on campus, and hopefully we'll be back on campus next year, is that once you get into semester 2, you've found your way around. You know how things work, all the jargon and terminology that goes with all the different elements of the university, where you find your information, how you figure out your schedule, as well as getting to know classmates and being able to kind of draw on their support so that you know when the practical is on or isn't on, or where you need to be for that, or what the deadline is for this. So everything is kind of settled down reasonably well, and we're certainly very happy with how the class have done this year, and it'll be great to kind of build up year on year cohorts in each of these years. And we'll also look to use some activities such that students across different years will get to know each other. So those students that are a year or 2 ahead can support those that are coming into the program at an earlier stage.
Okay, great. And we can speak with Michael in a minute, who's one of the current first years on the degree. But Derek, could you tell me, why did you set up the degree? Okay. Presumably there is an industrial need for graduates in this area.
Yeah, that's right. So you've got a growing number of life science and genomics companies out there. And as I mentioned in the brief presentation, modern biology relies a lot on huge amounts of data that are generated on DNA, on RNA, on protein. And modern research really requires the biologist to be familiar in what we call the wet lab, so doing your experiments on cells or model organisms, how biology works. But the data that's generated requires analytical skills to be able to manage that data, to analyze it, to move it around, to share it, and to be able to present it, and at conferences and in research papers and things like that. So we really think that the modern biology student needs the data analysis skills for that. So for companies such as Uniqueness Science Ireland, for example, who have a big campus and set up in South Dublin, they've identified to us the need to have graduates who are familiar with some computer science and with some biostatistics, but know their genetics as well. And then colleagues in our own university, other Irish universities and abroad have also identified that at advanced research levels, for example, like tackling the coronavirus pandemic, and we need science graduates who've got the analytical skills as well. So all of those kind of informed our decision to launch the new degree. And we've looked at the other excellent degree programs that are out there, like the Biomedical Science program, and use that for kind of inspiration on how to kind of structure the course, but generating a course that's slightly different, but still has a strong biomedical focus.
Indeed. So ultimately, we'll have graduates who are literate in genomics and are ready for those careers that will be in demand. Yeah,
that's the aim, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose you mentioned plenty of examples of industries during your talk, and I can recall a friend in the UK who's a genomics expert who had been asked by a big cosmetics company to help with the analysis of the genomics of the armpit, and they were making antiperspirants. Okay. So perhaps there's lots of opportunities and examples that people mightn't initially think about. But
that's true. That's true. And what I would also say is that as Helen suggested already, these aren't kind of vocational courses that line you up for a specific career. And obviously a big question everybody's asking themselves at this stage as they move to university is, what course will I pick? And you know, is that going to set you on a certain destiny or a certain path that's going to determine your career and future life? And the truth is that when you complete 4 years of a science degree, you've got that choice maybe in front of you. Again, you've got a whole load of options open to you. You can stay in different areas of science. You can transition to, you know, particular areas, but you can also go into different industry and have different options. So really what you need to be looking at is, in terms of picking your courses, what's going to give me the skills that will enable me to pursue different options at the end of those 4 years. So so that's why we focus a lot on the communication skills, the teamwork skills, the problem solving, the critical thinking, and of course having the analytical skills plus the biology skills means that I think graduates could go in lots of different directions, and that could be more in a computer science space, or it could be, you know, into a pharmaceutical company, and maybe even armpits and other interesting areas to explore as well.
Indeed. Or even wastewater treatment plants, who knows? So perhaps lastly then to you, Michael. So you're currently a first year student on the genetics and genomics degree. So I suppose I have two questions. One, just as I asked Katie, what drew you to the course? But then secondly, how has first year in university been during the COVID crisis?
Hi, Gavin. So initially, the first thing, if I'm being honest, is the fact that it was a brand new course just caught my eye at the start, because we had representatives come around to our school and talk about all the different courses in NUIG. And they just said this is a brand new course, kind of caught my eye. So I went on, did my own research from there. I actually got into contact with Derek, and we talked about it, met up pre-COVID. We had a chat about what the course was going to be, and everything I found out about it just made me attracted to it in general. I like the freedom that it seems to give, that it's not kind of putting you down one specific route. I kind of like that, because I was only 17, 18, deciding what to put on my CO. So I was thinking, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life at this age, but this course here seems to be really interesting. The modules that I'm going to be studying are going to be interesting. So I think if I can put myself in the right path, but also have the freedom to branch out into whatever I want to do when I'm older, so that really attracted me to the course.
Great. And your first year then
obviously it's been a struggle with the pandemic, but I think Derek and Lane in particular have made it very easy for us to. They've been so easy to contact. We've had our meetings, as Derek mentioned. I think they really helped. Just to know that if you ever need to reach out to either of them, that they were there to help. And I think the close tight knit class group of 26 students. We all know each other name basis now. We've met at labs, but it's mainly been online. But we have WhatsApp groups, and we have each other on different social medias to help each other out. And I think there's already kind of a tight band of people has come across, so we're all getting along well, and we all know each other quite well so far. And I'm sure that will only grow as the years go on.
Indeed. So perhaps could you maybe tell me as well, which other courses had you been interested in along? Just so we can paint.
I was interested in medicine, and I never went for the HPAT, but looking back now, I don't regret that at all. I'm really happy with the course I've chosen. And I suppose I had quite a wide range of courses I was looking at. I was looking into business and all the different sciences and everything. I was really, as I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time. So I was looking at a wide range of things, from business to all across the sciences. Just anything I could get my hands on, I was researching into and looking into and everything. But this is the course that got my eye, definitely.
Yeah, it's all part of the process, isn't it? So presumably you would have somewhat equal interests now in biology and perhaps in the informatics and
yeah. The data science part of it really it seems like it can give you an edge kind of in the job side of things, which I don't mind that at all. But I've been finding it interesting, and I never minded maths in school. I find maths quite a nice subject. I like problem solving and things like that. So I didn't mind the maths in it at all, and I think it's a good mix of things.
Yeah, and lastly then, Michael, what's been the part you've enjoyed most so far, or perhaps what's the part you're looking forward to most?
The actual genetics modules that I've been doing, we've had 2 this semester. So we've had an introduction to genetics and genomics across the whole year, and in the second semester we've had biomedical genomics and research. And the one I just mentioned there, biomedical research, genomics and research, actually I've really enjoyed, because we had an essay to do, and you kind of make you like you almost feel like a real scientist, going into the scientific journals and articles through PubMed and everything, writing your own essay. And I found that really enjoyable, and I felt felt very good to do that.
So some of those subjects are unique to the genetics and genomics degree then?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so I think that maybe gives our visitors a nice overview of the two programs anyway. So we've heard from the two program directors and from the two students. So I'd certainly like to thank all of you for joining me. I imagine that both Derek and Helen will say that you welcome inquiries from prospective students, and that you're always open to helping people in making up their minds on whether to apply. So I don't think we've left anything out. Is there anything else finally that either Derek or you, Helen, would like to add before we stop?
No, I think just to say that the public chat will be open on open day, and then email is always a good way to contact us as well if you have inquiries.
Great, excellent, and I'll echo that. So thanks again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.